Okay, perfect. Okay, so good day, everyone, and I'm happy to welcome you for third edition of Digital Week Online. And we are starting with Women Leadership Day with so many, so beautiful speakers, female leaders of industries, investors, influencers, and really like beautiful women. And yeah, I'm happy to give the word to Gordon Einstein, who will moderate today the whole day. And happy to give the word to the first panelist with women in digital communications. Thank you all.
I guess that's passing it to me. Okay, I don't know why we have a bunch of guys leading the women in digital communications panel, but you know what? We're just going to go with it. I think our main job is to get out of their way so they can show their brilliance. We're going to go around and hello, everyone. It's Gordon Einstein. This is your highly caffeinated introduction to the first episode, the first session of Digital Week Online, put together by Juliet Su and her amazing crew. So let's do a big virtual round of applause for the organizers of this event and all the hosts and all our wonderful guests. And like I said, we're starting off, it's International Women's Day, so we're starting off with the women. And I think I'm going to try to control my big mouth and basically stay out of the way. But let's kind of do some flash introductions. So we have Adriana. Can you unmute yourself if possible?
Yeah.
If that's technically possible. Yay! Okay, Adriana.
Possible.
So 1 minute Wolverine style origin tale. Hit us.
1 minute. Sorry, what?
I'm a fast talking guy. Who are you? Tell us about you.
Okay, awesome. So Adriana, I'm currently in Hong Kong. I've been in digital marketing and product management for the past 11 years in Asia, across Hong Kong, China, and New Zealand. And my latest endeavor has been launching my own startup advisory and an investment venture capital in Hong Kong.
Amazing. And I got to ask, where were you before Hong Kong and how did you get to Hong Kong?
I got to Hong Kong post the first economic crisis in 2009, when the only place I could still find a job in finance was in Asia, and I kind of have never left since.
Good answer. I like that. Okay, so I'm gonna go kind of clockwise on my screen, so there's no logic to it, just other than the way that Zoom God decided to display the world. Yamilette, hopefully I'm saying your name, but if I mess up names, I'm sure I will. Just excuse me. It's just part of the job. So please introduce yourself.
No worries, Gordon. I know. My name is Yamilette. It's almost like you can compare with an omelette. I like making that example because it's an easy way to connect. I'm from Mexico and I've been in Hong Kong for over 13 years.
Oh, wow.
First came for an exchange program. Ballerina at heart, beginning of my career, turned MC, public speaker, and now I'm a coach with communication and presentation skills and everything that has to do around your personal branding and the way that we communicate on and offline with Louder.
Interesting. Yeah, my mom took me to ballerina class once, and that was traumatic, and I'm still trying to work my way through it.
I'm gonna want to hear about that.
No. That was it. I'm done. I didn't even mean to like paint a visual. Okay, so Celine. Just because you're looking down and writing, I'm pointing to you next. So busted. Now, how's it going? Tell us about you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very happy to be here. So I'm Celine. I'm also based in Hong Kong, and I've been a marketer for more than 20 years. Wow. I spent nearly all these 20 years in automotive industry, working for Allianz, so Nissan, Renault, Infiniti, so as a global marketing strategist, and also in Japan, in South America, in Europe. And for 1 year, I'm now the global head of marketing for APM Monaco, which is a global jewelry brand. So it's a fashion jewelry brand, and the global headquarters is here in Hong Kong. So it's a totally new challenge for me, because after all these automotive years, I'm super happy to be back to something which passionates me, and I'm really glad to have done this move.
Well, congratulations. That sounds exciting. I think we're gonna do an official round of applause, everyone. If anyone doesn't clap, okay, good. Okay, just so you know, everyone's clapping, as well they should. Sarah, I can tell you're an awesome marketer just because of the Instagram tag, so hit us.
Thank you. Just like Adriana, I've been in marketing for about 11 years, but only in Hong Kong. Yeah, so I've been in F&B, nightlife, service industry for quite some time. And then I recently decided to activate my Women of Hong Kong network, actually, that I've had for about 7 years. So we're in the process of building a platform that supports all the women in Hong Kong, whether it's their jobs or, opening any business or just looking for the best bar that has the least pervious bartenders. Just for social fun. And just recently also became the co-founder of a company called Project Legacy. So we work with a lot of people internationally, and we focus on network marketing. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Interesting, and I liked your bar description. That was cool. I like it. And
Thank you.
Payal, last but certainly not least, please tell us about you.
Hi, yes, my name is Payal. I am also from Hong Kong, raised in Hong Kong. I have my own brand that is turning 10 years this May. I've been I've been a big part of, working on the digital side of my brands for a very, very long time. I also have started other little businesses along the way, invested in a few businesses along the way, and then also use my personal social to elevate lots of other people, other startups and women, especially women in business.
Amazing.
And that's been my journey.
I love it. We have a fantastic panel. So, I mean, in keeping with the theme of the day and the panel, what unique, and kind of go beyond the cliches, what unique challenges do you face as women? What unique benefits you bring to the table as women? What are you seeing in terms of the evolving environment? And I'm going to kind of throw that ball out there and just see who catches it, and then we'll play catch amongst ourselves. Remember, lean in.
I would like if it's possible, because I know also that Adriana has another engagement. If you want to comment on this one, Adriana.
Okay, Gordon, you're really coffeeed up. What was the question?
You know what? I just came in from Dubai yesterday. I'm like the red-eye flight. I'm in Kiev now. My body's adjusting. I'm trying to bounce all the chemicals. Nothing illegal. So I will take it down a notch, but I appreciate you letting me know that. So the question was, in honor of the theme of today, which is Women's Day, and this panel, going beyond the cliches, going kind of to a deeper level, as women in the communications field, what unique challenges are you facing? What unique benefits or attributes are you bringing to the table? And maybe kind of the question behind the question is, how are things evolving and changing over time? So I'm kind of going for not the front level answers, but like a little bit more depth and analysis, if you can.
Right. Yeah, it's a big question, and I think it'd be hard for me to kind of answer all of that at once. So I'll start off with just the first little bit about what kind of challenges I as a woman face. And again, this is from a personal experience. I think personally for me, I'll be honest, I haven't faced too many challenges because I've been lucky enough to have great male leaders that have been around me in kind of every country and every market and every company that I went to. But I could maybe speak on behalf of the women that were kind of in different teams to me and what I've kind of heard from them. And that's been, as a woman, when you are in a very male-dominated environment, specifically in finance. So I've had quite a bit of that in HSBC, and I'll be honest about this, is that women were voicing out the fact that they weren't feeling like they have equal footing with the man in the room. They might have the same years of experience as a man in a room, but they will never be heard as the man in the room with exactly the same experience. Again, me, I've been lucky enough, but I'm also vocal enough to kind of stand up for myself.
I was going to say, is that luck or is that your personal attributes making?
I think, it's personal attributes because I've been lucky enough to have the right leaders mold me and tell me that it's okay to speak up. If I didn't, then maybe I'd be different.
Good answer. I like that. And where do you see things going?
Where do I see? Do you know what? I'm I think over the past 2 years, it's been incredible how many conversations I've seen happening even around HSBC around kind of the unknown bias that a man might have when they are working together with women. It's been incredible. I've seen a number of training sessions happen in HSBC, which I thought were fantastic. There was actually one held in my team where male, again, while it was kind of these kind of training sessions were created for men, but really they would have been useful for even women themselves to kind of catch themselves when there's a bias, any kind of bias in the team that's gender based. So I've seen these kind of training facilitations, these conversations happening more and more over the last few years. So I think women hopefully will feel more confident speaking up. The more these discussions happen around us. So I expect a little bit more transparency and a little bit more of an open environment, no matter the industry, no matter the country, or basically improving.
Fair enough. Now I'm actually going to take a step back and let you all self-run this. So, if possible.
I mean, if you look at it, if you look at the kind of sponsors you've gotten for this event, I'm sure all these sponsors want to educate their company with having conversations that we're having currently here and get them to tune in. People want to be associated with equality. People want to be associated with, inclusivity now. It's like, it's almost the on trend. It's almost, I think, look down upon if you're not treating your employees in an equal manner. And as a company, it's becoming just as important as it is to be sustainable. It's important to be in a safe environment, and that the product, like if I'm buying a product, I'm actually looking and reading about how the company has been treating their employees, where the manufacturing is happening. Are they giving all genders equal opportunity? And you know what, if I think that it's a very fair environment, I'm more drawn to purchasing from that brand. So I think it's almost a great, it's a marketing tactic, but it's also just what people's personal preferences when it comes to purchasing or investing.
True. And I'm going to write from what Adriana just mentioned. It's true that we need to learn how to speak up more and not be fearful about it, be unapologetic of who we are. And developing the soft skills is very important. It doesn't matter if we're doing it online, offline, via text, email, everything, every way that we communicate, it's going to start creating that persona that we want to be. And what is that reputation? And what do we want to leave others behind with? I know Gordon, he has stepped out a little bit. So if anybody else has
actually, to be real honest, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. To be honest, I'm a late addition. You're actually the moderator, so I am going to.
That's okay.
No.
I have plenty to say too. I raised my hand with
the theme of this
Payal
thing for me to speak. So all yours. Take it away. Go for it.
Celine or Sarah, do you have any other comments after this question?
No, I was thinking about it, but I think it's also really depending of the industry you've been working in. Like I've been working more than 15 years in the automotive industry, and I can tell you that there is a huge difference between female and male, and that in terms of salary, in terms of responsibility, and I think still in and it was last year, but you still have this type of joke and things like that. So I really think it's really depend of the industry, but. So if I talk about automotive, I don't see any change over the years, really. If you are in this kind of classic industry, I think there is a big change in terms of culture, origin, and that has been changed a lot. And we had a lot of training on that and everything. About the female, with the same study and the same experience, I was still less paid than a man in automotive, and that was a fact. So I cannot say that in this, now working in fashion industry and things, yes, of course, it's more a woman's world, and yes, we are. My life is easier, and I think in terms of salary is different. But I think that some industry, the change didn't really happen. No.
Okay, what about in the F&B?
A lot of battle to fight for female today. I think we're not at the point of equality.
Yeah, we need to challenge that. Sarah, what about in the F&B industries?
I haven't really been at F&B industry in the last 3 years per se, but I can tell you right now, when I started in 2011, 2012, I got a manager job by 2013. And on top of being a woman and being a Filipina, it wasn't well accepted. They looked at me as if, I probably did some extra things to get the job. It wasn't as simple as like, oh, Sarah's actually really skilled, really talented, she deserves a role. It was more of like, I wonder what she did to get there. And it was a little heartbreaking, but it's definitely changed right now for F&B industry. I did enter a sales role about a year ago, intensive training with the sales team. I was able to work with people such as Decathlon, Cathay Pacific, and all that. Being the only female in a sales team, I had 4 or 5 other teammates that were all male, and they were really, really great. I don't think anybody expected me to close $1 million deals by the 3rd, 4th, and 5th month. So that really, it was a surprise for them. And I guess nobody really expects that. But I do see that people are changing. The way that they see women is pretty equal. But I do have something to say. Just because we feel a certain way about how we're perceived as women in business, we should not let that stop us. We must continually move forward as if there was no gender, right? It's all about the show of skill sets. It's all about how strong we are as women. So I never let that stop me. And I don't think any of us in this room has ever let that stop us. And that's why we're all here.
Correct. And we shouldn't be afraid of our emotions. On the contrary, we should use them to our advantage, because that's what makes us stronger and different from our male counterparts. And going around that, from the wonderful question that Gordon already set for us, I want to go back to Adriana. And I know that you're talking about HSBC and the way that you saw that the evolution was happening with the training. And you have managed big campaigns for a big corporation like this one. And you are also managing campaigns for smaller corporations like startups. What's the difference between one and the other? The digital communication, is it the same? Do you have any pillars that will work for both? Tell us more about it, Adriana.
Right. It's a good question. Yeah. So I guess in the latest gig at HSBC, you're right. I was managing pretty large scale campaigns. I had a pretty large team as well. And today, for some of the startups in my portfolio, I also help them launch to market. It's a very interesting transition, and I'm absolutely loving transition. I'm also still learning on some of the differences, but I think the major ones between a corporate such as HSBC and a tiny little e-commerce startup, number one is money. When I was at HSBC, yes, the budgets were pretty healthy, but that also meant that your targets were as healthy, let's call it that, right? The pressure was much more intense. Unfortunately, having all of that money didn't mean that I can actually spend it. So what ended up happening is I have this budget, but I had to constantly prove myself. I had to constantly tie every single dollar spent to every KPI possible. So what this meant is sometimes I didn't get the luxury to be as creative. I didn't get the luxury of doing something really good for the customer and spending that $100 USD. Because I would need to show what was the sales and revenue as a result of that. So basically what I'm saying is, in a startup, it's much, much easier to spend that money or things that I know are good for me, for the company and for the customer. So yeah, that was major difference. A few others would be also, I think, the tools that we used at HSBC versus a tiny startup. Because it took such a long time for a large corporate to onboard a new tool. So let's say, for example, Salesforce, right? Just an example. In something like HSBC, it would take them about a year to start using new tools. But at the time that they onboard a new tool, a startup would have used much better technology, right? That's far more advanced, that's far cheaper, that's far easier to use, right? So I am absolutely enjoying the amount of tools that I'm using today versus what I was using about 6 months ago when I was still in HSBC. So again, money doesn't necessarily mean that I'm faster, that I'm more creative, or that I have better tools to use as a company, which is unfortunate. So I think HSBC kind of, or any large company has that working against them. So how they implement that into their culture, into the ops, will kind of make or break their marketing team. And I think the last one that I will say, the last biggest differentiation, and probably the most important one, is creativity. While in a large corporate, and I'm sure, actually, I'd be curious if, Celine, you would be experiencing the same in a global brand, is the level of approvals is quite high, right? So it takes you a little bit longer to do something small and creative or big and creative. You have to run it past legal, past compliance, past risk, past the global head of PR, right? Where again, and as a startup, you don't really have that luxury to take your time, right? The competition is right on your corner, around the corner. So again, in the startups that I'm currently working with right now, we get to play around. We get to A/B test constantly. We really get to think outside of the box, and we get to actually execute those ideas. So yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell.
That's a great, and I wanted to also know if you can see the bias or not when you are delivering this digital campaigns in a bigger corporation versus the smaller one. And then after that, when you replied to me, Adriana, if we can touch base with Celine, because I know with APM, they are having a very interesting way of managing their digital campaigns and communications because they actually do it internally. So after Adriana finishes, Celine, can you tell us more about this style of working, even though you have a global company? It feels like you're almost working as a startup.
Exactly. I mean, it is exactly that. And when Adriana was saying about global, I can say yes, when I was in Nissan having a global account, it was exactly that. We had the purchase in Japan and we had like so many layers and it was a campaign per country and it was completely different. In APM, even if it's a global company, it's really like a startup. And we're really working like this. We are super limited in terms of people working. And also we do everything in-house, which is really the specificity. I think we will speak, and most probably Payal will speak about influencer and everything. So for us, the influencer is really specific because it's an in-house project. We recruit in-house all our KOL and we get into contact directly. We do all our paid ad directly ourselves. We don't have any agency. We don't have any agency for a campaign. We have no agency for shooting, for video, for photograph. We have our in-house photograph studio and we're doing our own video and everything. So that's a very different system and it's quite challenging. And so the model is really to have everything in-house in terms of digital. The problem we're facing is we are not as nimble as a startup neither. Like Adriana was saying, we don't do really so much A/B testing, and we're not really, because in our mindset, we are still in a global company. So we kind of struggling in terms of A/B testing and more by knowledge. So for us, I think I answered.
Oh, no, that's perfect. And I'm sorry, I'm going to stop you there because I know Adriana, as we say, she is a very popular speaker. She has another engagement coming right now. So can you, Adriana, leave our audience with one piece of advice, one thing you can tell them about digital communication in this day and age?
Okay. My biggest piece of advice would be to stay transparent, no matter how small you are as a company and no matter how big. I think that's the only thing that truly helped us build a very powerful brand. So I was working on the PayMe brand in Hong Kong and the PayMe product. And from start to finish, we were always honest with customers if something went wrong. And that's just, it's a luxury that you cannot afford not to do, I would say. So no matter what happens, no matter how big you are, how small you are, just be honest with your customers, even if you have made a mistake. They'll tell you how to make it up.
Yeah, building trust. Doesn't matter if it's online, they will still see it. Well, thank you very much, Adriana. If you want to stay, please. I keep on asking questions. If you have to go, good luck with your next event. Thank you. And connecting with what Celine just said, I want to go with our influencers, our digital networkers, Payal and Sarah. I know you have the belief and you really, really live by the idea of building network, of creating a robust digital network that's going to support your brands. So can we start perhaps with Sarah? Tell me a little bit more about how do you build this network and what are the main points around building them?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. I guess for me, what I believe in when you build a network is that don't get lost in the numbers, right? So people constantly think, oh, the more people I know, the more it will benefit me. But I've made that mistake when I was younger. I was constantly building my network, constantly finding people, adding friends, creating LinkedIn contacts, but it definitely kicked me in the ass when I realized it's not about the numbers, it's about how well you take care of your network, because you don't really need to be knowing 500 different women, but if you're very, very close to 15 to 20 or even just 10, they'll be supporting you so much to the point that they're actually going to help you grow your network. So one of the companies that I'm co-founding right now, called Project Legacy, that focuses on network marketing, we actually train our members with their skill set. So when it comes to building that network in the digital age, again, it's not just a numbers game. It's about the contribution that you have for them. Like, what value can you give them? Why would they join your network when there's like masses of 500, 5 million other networks that they could be part of, right? What makes yours unique? So I guess for me, the most important things about building a network, whether it's for your business, your personal, your personal network, take care of it. Make sure you give back, that you add value to that connection. And it's not just like take. You got to give something too.
I love that answer. It's true. Giving from a place of abundance without expecting anything in return. Payal, I know that you are great at your digital campaigns, IG, everything that has to be video. So these are other ways that we communicate digitally. How assertive or how empathetic you need to be in, how do you make sure that your customers really have that feeling? How do they get the emotion that you want to translate?
I mean, given that we've had to all stay at home and sort of, try to feel and connect with our product digitally, it's all about making fluid. For me, it's the reason you said videos. I enjoy videos over pictures, because I feel like that gives you a sense of weight and color and style and how you can connect to the product, because we have those mediums. And then what happened is, in the last year, Instagram started favoring more videos. In fact, video content was doing, if you were to put out more and more video content, especially with like the influence of TikTok and Reels, you were definitely getting a better attention on your posts. I also think that it's a little bit more real more than a picture, because I feel like a picture traditionally people think, oh, is it edited? Is it too high def? Is there a filter on this? Is there a color on this that like probably won't look as great on me? So definitely moving towards more relatable content and more just organic and being more real was as where we started heading. And you know this, like video content definitely creates a bigger impact in the digital world, I think, compared to images nowadays. Other than that, we started augmented reality, which was awesome. We started letting audience. We started. There's an option on one of my websites where you can try on an item instantly. So you can click on try on now, and it automatically opens your phone camera. It asks you if you're allowed. And it opens your phone camera, and you're basically virtually trying on items like at the comfort of your own home. So just giving those little features have been extremely useful with just connecting with our audiences the way we were traditionally. Well, traditionally it was more through events and trade shows, but now through the mediums online.
Yeah, and I remember that I was chatting with Sarah before we had this panel, and she was also mentioning, if you're not great at something, let's say you're not great at texting and you don't resonate with your audience in that way, try the things that you know that you're great at. Like in your case, Payal, you're great at videos in all of these social media environment. So do more of that, and then until you get better at the other thing you're not great at, then you can start doing it more and more and trying it.
Yeah,
and for the three of you, yeah.
Or you can delegate if you're not so great at maybe self-promoting you can always get someone who's who is great on video and just kind of be the behind the scenes, but just kind of get the information out there. So I think just even cross collaboration has been such a big part of working with people online and putting together people, finding people's USB and then coming together and putting that content up.
Yeah, all about networking and connection goes back to the same point of our question. And it also connects to the fact that we have to gain knowledge and know what's out there and what are people wanting or not, because we can perhaps be working on something with a lot of passion and this is not really what people are expecting from us or our brands. So I want to ask you three ladies, how do you pivot? Payal, you're mentioning about AI and any other tech, but in your case, Sarah and Celine, how do we pivot around the challenges that we are facing in digital media and that communication? Who wants to? Sarah, do you want to comment?
So you mean the challenges that we have right now with the recent? Okay.
Yes, it could be. And in any case, we always have to change, right? In order to evolve and be relevant and present. So pivoting, it's going to be an ever happening all the time in this world. Yeah. So how do you do it?
It's a must. It's a must. Well, it's uncomfortable. That's the first thing, right? Because with change comes discomfort, and a lot of people refuse to change simply because it's easier to just go with routine with what you're used to. When the pandemic hit last year, my advice to all my clients was get online now, right? And people were like, no, it's gonna, the COVID's gonna go away in 2, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 tops. And I'm like, we've been here for about 1.5 years now, and it's still going. And now a client that I advised over 1 year ago that you gotta bring your business online, open an e-commerce store. He's like, I don't know how to do it. I'm like, learn it, because now it's been 1.5 years, you still haven't learned it. Even if it took you 6 months to learn it, your business would have been online. There's no foot traffic anymore. I used to work in a digital agency called First Page, and we even had clients coming to us like Maybelline and Estee Lauder, because it was time to go digital. There was no more foot traffic in Hong Kong's shopping centers. Nobody was shopping anymore. Everybody was going online. So I guess right now with change, embrace being uncomfortable. But you got to go with the flow. You have to. The more you resist, the more opportunities you lose out. And this goes with like any business, whether it's personal or you're building a business, go online. Seriously, learn it. If you say, I don't know how to do it, I don't know how to post, I'm not good in videos, I don't have audience, do something.
Super. And I actually want to leave Celine at the end for this one, because she has a very particular and very interesting point of view when it comes to online versus the offline. So before that, Payal, how do you change, transform, jump? I like to say we should always jump, but with a peekaboo, so we know where we land. What is your point of view here?
As in, like, what do I do before? Do you want to?
How do you pivot your branding strategy, communication strategy digitally, and are you doing anything also offline?
Oh, definitely. I mean, so we speak about offline as, the backhand work. So when it comes to like design, because I am at the end of the day more designer for my own business. So I'm using online, such as analytics, I'm using data and using everything that I can capture to create newer collections and newer styles. I'm almost working backwards, where like back in the day, it would be like just, finding things that I enjoyed designing and, marketing it. Whereas now what I'm doing is I'm looking at analytics, I'm looking at trends, I'm looking at what's out there, I'm looking at what the competition is, I'm looking at what people asking when I'm out with, a group of girls, like how is your spending? How do you buy now? What is a priority for you? What is, what are you like investing in nowadays? And I use that information, whether it's what I'm at a networking event or just looking at data online and saying, okay, this is a problem solving situation. I want to design something, but I want to make sure it's because I don't want to create things and then, leave them there and just, just because I'm passionate about something. I want to find something that I can combine, like what there is a demand for and what I can create within that demand that will satisfy my designer needs as well. And then combining the two. So now any new line I create or any new materials that I consider using, whether it's if people are into sustainable, then using recycled gold. If people are into a lower price point, maybe going for plating over just 18 carats. So just small little changes that can elevate and really add to the success of your brand going forward when creating new designs and collections.
Correct.
I like
Celine?
that because she stays curious. Yeah, sorry. I just had to jump in because Payal, I love that you said that, because that really is the element of staying extremely curious, right? You're doing market research. You're not creating a product just because you love it. You're going to create it because there's a demand for it. And it just goes back to saying, like, one of the beliefs that I have with going online is do the market research. There was a 36% spike of people using the internet more often than before. So if you're not online right now, you're kind of missing out.
I mean, Shopify stocks skyrocketed in the last year, like I think by 600%.
Oh
E-commerce is where it's at, and just seeing that more digital platform payment platforms were evolved because of this to create solutions. A lot of people are starting. Where you pay kind of like in quarterlies, or in, you don't have to pay for your item like straight away. It's just a simple solution such as, and then going back to even your marketing, like what we do is like, when it comes to because we create all our content in-house as well. We look at our analytics on Instagram and on Shopify and say, this post got most people coming onto the website. We need to create more content like this. Or this is what got the most saves and the most shares. We need to create more content like this because that's what's going to equal to more sales. So just kind of combining everything we have and doing the research and then actually making it a problem-solving solution.
Yeah, so your communication is very cohesive and really reflects in every element your brand. Celine, I really want you to tell us your point of view on the digital marketing and communication and versus the offline, because I know you say you should go online, but also never forget the offline.
Yeah. So the thing is, in terms of marketing, as I say, I've got like 20 years, slightly more experience in marketing to get my age. But then the thing is, I start really, and I have to say I'm a bit the dinosaur here, but I start marketing at the offline time, where we were doing really, online was not really existing. There were all the social media platform. And first, especially in automotive, it was really about TV, it was about radio, out of home, and automotive industry was one of the biggest spender in terms of marketing. So I really come from the total offline traditional marketing. Then we moved to online, and of course, working for some challenging brand like Infinity, we had to be really online first, mobile first, digital first. And then when I arrived in APM, it was the same, where it was last year with the trend of, as it's a new brand starting in 2013, it's really about how to be located in Hong Kong and how to target all our customers globally. Okay, first things to do, celebrity, influencer, online strategy, all the social media, retargeting, prospecting, okay, 100% online. And then we saw with the crisis also of people not traveling, some of the testing we were doing, especially in China, about trade marketing and offline, all the trade marketing we're doing today in the mall and everything, the ROI was first very visible because we have our traffic in the shop. And then we saw also in terms of awareness, all our tests were increasing. So people remember seeing us in China much more because we were doing this trade marketing. And same happened with the KOL project. With all our influencer project, we have like nearly 4,000 KOL APM we're working with globally and 3,000 in China. So 4,000 international and then 3,000 in China. The thing about our KOL, the prime is always the question of ROI with online. It's super difficult to really get a clear ROI of all your campaign. Then due to the situation of we could not do any event, we start doing event only with our KOL in our shops. We have 300 shops 300 shops globally. And then we start in each city inviting our KOL to this shop and then posting. So it's where the online meet the offline, because this influencer girl, we're going to our shop, we're making video, we're discussing with our salespeople, meeting also our customer. And then we saw really a huge resonance about our online. And it's where I arrived to the conclusion of, I think the solution today is really an hybrid situation. And due to the current situation of people not traveling, we need to be also closer to our customer. We need to really reconnect to the customer. Today it's a trend where we need to do more events, VIP events, to invite people to have a face-to-face, especially with everything people have been living. We need this kind of reconnection, human reconnection. So for me, as I said, the total online cannot exist anymore. And we really need to be back on an offline also solution, which could be trade, event, out of home. But yeah, sorry.
Super. No, and with that, I get your point, Celine. Try to do with brands, let's not forget about the face-to-face, because eventually we might go back to a hybrid style of digital and offline marketing and communication. What about you? And this is our last question, because I mean, ladies, we can spend hours and hours. I'm sure you have so much knowledge and experience to share with our audience. Remember, if you want to connect with them, they're all on social media, Instagram, our websites. But for now, I want you to tell me, all of you, the one piece of advice you're going to leave our audience with today. And if your thoughts are going to be online, offline, 100%, or a hybrid style of digital communication. Payal.
So the one piece of advice that I think I keep telling myself every day is like, make it your business to sort of know what's going on in the world at all times, because we're living in a world where, you know, regulations are changing, custom rules are changing, import export union. When you're trying to do business, you know, through e-commerce or just generally, like, make your business to know about things about other than just your industry, because I do think that eventually that information comes back and really does help you elevate what you have to a larger scale. So, you know, when you are out, you know, if I met Sarah yesterday and we're literally discussing like what's changing within her environment, what's changing within my environment. And then maybe we could really have the conversation here, like, how can we, you know, bridge the gap between what the changes that are being made between both our environments, and, you know, and collaborate. I think collaboration is like the next new, like, you know, joint venture, like when two great people or two great businesses or two great talents come together and collaborate, be open to it, and, you know, work together in that collaboration, and you can make some beautiful content and beautiful new products, or, you know, be open to seeing more newer styles out there.
Thank you. Thank you, Payal. Sarah, last piece of advice: digital, offline, online, both?
I would say stay fluid, right? As Payal mentioned, it's going to depend on the market. You never know, the internet might get shut off in 6 years. What are you going to do? So my advice would be stay curious, continually learn, you know, hone your skill set, be ready and able to network with people, whether it's online or offline, because at the end of the day, it's a communication skill that will get you far.
And anything else you want to tell our audience that connects especially with what you're doing? I know that you are opening this new platform to connect women in Hong Kong. What about this one?
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. I know we're short on time, so I'll definitely make it quick. I've had a network of women that have been so supportive of each other for the past 7 years. We've actually had an insanely active WhatsApp chat group of over 250 women. Every day you'll see them support each other, recommend venues or services, or just ask questions, and people will be supportive, like who's the best doctor to go to, even questions that you can't ask, like, oh, this happened to me as a woman, I don't know who to talk to. So that's what the activity was the past 6 years. But since the pandemic hit, it quickly switched from happy, supportive to, oh my God, I just lost my job. I don't know who to go to. Guys, I have this CV. Somebody needs an apartment. You know, like it got so sauced up that I started asking myself, like, what can I do? So I listened to this podcast that basically said, like, you know, ask yourself how many lives you have not impacted because simply you were too afraid to start. And I was afraid to start the platform because I was saying, like, who am I? I'm not anybody special to create a platform for women of Hong Kong. But when that question came to mind, I was like, who else is going to do it? You know, be fearful of judgment, be scared it might not work, but I'd rather try than regret it. So yeah, I'm launching the womenofhongkong.com in about 25 days from now. So I hope you guys will be part of it. I'd love to invite you guys on the live panels there as well.
Super, thank you. Oh, I see. Oh, Payal wants to say something.
Just to add to Sarah's like conversation, you know, yesterday she said she grew to 4,500. It's a community. What was your number? You started with 10.
It started with like 10 at the bar, and then it went to 20 every week. We would meet up, and then it went to like 4,000 email database.
And we were saying that if every woman helped someone on that network, and if we all chipped in even $100, that's like $40,000. And it's like literally the craziness of this network.
The power of networking and the power of not being afraid. And speaking up, as Adriana was saying before, I know Gordon came back on the panel. He's eager to ask another question, but before that, Celine, any last piece of advice? I know you have the hybrid style of event and digital marketing, but what else?
But I think it's exactly what you said. I think we should not be afraid and just afraid to try and test everything. When I say the offline was working for us, it's just because we try, and we need to be to think out of the box, and to always, we're really working in a very short term now, because we used to do marketing plan for a year, sometimes for 2 years, and we were working on a yearly base, where now we're working nearly on a weekly base, because we really don't know what's going on. Some shop closed, they're open. As we say, we also have a lot of issue with all the social media targeting. We don't know what's going to happen with Apple and things like that. So today we're really working on different options. And I think it's really to stay really open mind, and just to think that you don't know the answer. So you have to try it. Nobody really knows the answer. So you have to be curious, and you have to think out of the box, and you have to think about, don't think, oh, this is the answer. I know it. I know it by my expertise. I think if you do that, you're totally wrong. I think you should think that you don't know anything. That's my advice.
Agility, connectivity, and being fearless.
Yes.
Gordon, welcome back.
Thank you. I got a couple takeaways for myself. It was interesting. The two things that really resonated with me are the abolition or the extinction of foot traffic, and then the other part I'll talk about is the networking part. But I'm in Kiev right now, but I'm from Los Angeles, and because of the COVID and the political situation and a bunch of things, Beverly Hills, where I'm reasonably close to, that used to have thriving foot traffic, it's boarded up building after boarded up building, and there's elements, I don't know if, it's kind of unfortunate to bring it up, but there's a shooting day here 2 days ago, so it's only going to get more. I mean, the foot traffic is, if it's extinct in Beverly Hills, it's going to be extinct in a lot of places, and that sort of evoked in my mind the idea of this panel's about communications, like what's next? There's websites, there's social media, but what if you're looking at it like 2022 or 23 or 24? What do you see as the sort of emergent channels to reach people if you can't do the face-to-face? Not necessarily what's today, but what's coming up. And if that was addressed, sorry I missed it, but it kind of got my wheels spinning a little bit when you all were talking about that. So I'd love to hear some thoughts.
I think LinkedIn is definitely something that people need to take seriously nowadays. If we're talking about socializing and focusing on business, it's fairly easy right now. The algorithm is still pretty easy to kind of maneuver around. It's not like Facebook, but yeah, that would be my advice. If people are curious about the next social platform that they need to engage with, you need to get on LinkedIn, especially if you have a business. Most especially if you have a business.
What are you guys' thoughts about Clubhouse?
Yeah, I was
That's a good question.
Yeah. I mean, I've enjoyed it for the few conversations. I've met some really amazing startups on it and been able to like get information, get knowledge for myself, and then swap. But yeah, it's a lot. It's, you know, it's a great replacement for podcasts in some ways if you want to just be part of an interactive virtual conversation. But I do see it being a huge community gathering app.
Do you think Clubhouse is a replacement for conferences? And I feel kind of bad saying that question here, but I'm just curious. I've heard that floated around.
I personally, I wouldn't think so, because we still want to see, even though that we're not meeting physically, we're still seeing each other, right? And we have all of the channels of communication here. You can hear my voice, but you can see my face, my movements, and if I type something on the chat. So all of it, it's together. And at Clubhouse, we don't have the visual medium. So from my expertise and my point of view, it's a great thing to have, a great tool, but I won't think that would take over conferences.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no to it completely. I would say it's the fast food version of online networking, right? Like, it's better than texting, it's better than forums and group chats, but it's not as great as video face-to-face, because as humans, you know, we're born to have that need of interaction. We really are.
That's such a great way to put it. The fast food of social networking.
Yeah, I'm gonna feel that.
It's addicting.
I quote you on that. That's good. Yeah.
Bingo. What do you think about the conference formats where you're sort of like a virtual avatar and you walk around in the venue? Is that sort of like a gimmick, or do you think that has legs?
I recently got to use Air Meets with Own Academy for the students. It's a virtual fair for students because schools were canceled. There were booths, virtual booths that you could enter, tables where students were speaking about specific topics like, I don't like my siblings, I'm scared of my mom, any advice? And in between those tables and booths that you could click into, there were live panels and classes with teachers. And I thought it was really cool. I don't know about the avatar portion yet, but I do know that with networking, the events that are going online virtually, it's the next big thing. It's conferences over Zoom, networking over Clubhouse, and running events virtually, right? Like, you can meet investors online through these platforms.
Yeah, I used to Remo, NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center in the US, which I collaborate with a lot. They use Remo as a platform for their events. And it's quite interesting. It's very easy to use. You have different, they call it like an elevator. So you have different floors where you can jump from one topic to the other. And then when you're on the floor, you also have different tables. So it's very user-friendly. Color-wise, also, again, the visual medium of it, it's a lot of fun. I really like it. So I guess it just has to, it depends on what do you like, what do you want to showcase, and what do you feel comfortable with and your audience. If your audience is, your demographic is a little bit older than other ones, maybe you want to choose a platform that it's easier, user-friendly.
Okay. Fascinating topic, all of you. It's interesting. So
Thank you.
You know what? I jumped in incorrectly, getting sorry. I was just a late addition, so I didn't follow. But you know, I'm gonna you wrap this up. You're the boss. So
no, thank you, Gordon.
I'm handing you the chalice.
Your caffeine up energy.
It's like, Gordon, you want to be a woman? We can tell.
I do. Hey, listen, my mom was a woman, so there you go.
Okay. You know what? I'm a little bit biased with this thing about having only women in events or at events, because we always need your point of view too. It's the other side of the coin. So it's very important to have male and our friends and our male friends at panels and networking discussions, and even personally, because we want to have both sides of the coin.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we want to be equal. That's it.
I feel all good. I feel warm and fuzzy. I appreciate it. So anyways, I'm gonna hand it back to you to land the plane, if you like.
Super. I already asked this question before, what's your last piece of advice? But I want you to tell me one word. When you think about digital communication, what would be that word? Celine. I took her off guard. That's a hard one.
Start with me because I'm the one thinking the most. Payal, start.
One word to describe digital marketing currently.
Yeah.
Oh, it's unstoppable.
Unstoppable. Super. Sarah.
Really, really good word. You stole it out of my mouth. I guess my second one would be, adapt. Constantly adapt. Ever changing.
Yeah.
Celine?
I don't know if I find the word, but for me and it's not one word, but need to be challenged.
Okay,
I think for me, it's an amazing tool, but it cannot be taken as it is. It's really need to be challenged.
Okay. Yeah. Challenge the status quo. Well, we need to wrap up this wonderful panel and discussion with the ladies. Thank you, Gordon, again, also to guide us and to be part of our panel. And I'm very, very happy to be your moderator today. I am Yamilette, and we have Payal, Celine, Sarah with us, and Adriana before too.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you
Thank
soon
you so
on
much.
other discussions.